Ladies and gentlemen, the agency space is competitive. That is a fact. And many of you might see that as a bad thing. Well, what if I told you that this is an opportunity, not a threat to your success? Would you believe me? You see, when a space becomes more competitive, your ability to stand out also increases. I'll give you an example. Let's say, with all due respect, in the world of sports, it's kind of hard to stand out if you're playing curling. Listen, even though it's a fun sport to watch, when people are playing in the Olympics, I bet you couldn't name a single curling player. But in more competitive sports like football, basketball, Formula 1, getting there might be a bit harder. But if you get it right, you can stand out locally and even internationally. And if we take this back to the agency world, one of the best ways to stand out from other agencies is by using guarantees correctly. By using the correct guarantee, your offer becomes a no-brainer. And when you have a good guarantee, you totally set yourself apart from the competition. Now, the best thing about this is something you can put in place straight after watching this video. Here's the thing. The key is to have the right guarantee in place. A guarantee that is good for your client, but a guarantee that doesn't hurt your business in the process. And in this video, I'm gonna give you 4 proven guarantees that you can use to stand out from other agencies, give your clients a better service, and ultimately get paid for that accordingly. Now, bear in mind that the guarantees that I'm gonna share in today's video are just some of the guarantees. This is about 1/3 of the guarantees that I've taught thousands of agency owners inside of my paid program, Agency Accelerator. And these guarantees are working incredible for students inside the program. I mean, just look at Armando. Armando used one of the guarantees that I will teach you here today to scale his agency to over $30,000 per month in less than 6 months. So if you want your agency to stand out and become trustworthy in the process, this video is for you, because guarantees are the best way to do exactly this. So on that note, let's get into it. What is a guarantee? Because before I get into the different type of guarantees, it is essential that you understand what a guarantee actually is. A guarantee is simply a promise you make to a prospect before they become a client. Now, the promise is based on a particular result. If the result is not achieved, you bear the consequence as the agency owner. It is simply a transfer of risk. And why is this so important? Well, to be honest, it's quite simple. This way, the client has nothing to lose. And this makes your offer a no-brainer. I mean, who would say no to an offer when you have everything to gain and nothing to lose? Now, let's use a very practical example. Let's say you were about to purchase a television and there was no money-back guarantee in place. Well, it would be very unlikely that you would buy it. You wouldn't risk getting home, plugging it in, television not working. On the other hand, if you were to purchase a TV and they had a guarantee that if anything happened to the TV, the store would take care of it and it wouldn't cost you a cent, I mean, which one would you choose? Another really good example of this is mattresses. I mean, yeah, you could go to the store and kind of like lay on a mattress, but that's not the same as like sleeping on it for multiple days or multiple weeks. So that's why a lot of the most successful mattress companies, especially the e-commerce ones, the ones without a physical location, they have these amazing guarantees where you can literally buy the mattress, it gets sent to you, you can sleep on it for 30 days, and if for whatever reason you don't like it, you can ship it back. That is a very, very strong guarantee. Well, anyways, listen, the same holds true for agency services. Giving clients a guarantee that your services will come with a desired result makes the sale go through like butter. So now that you understand what the guarantee is and the role it plays, let's talk about the 4 types of guarantees that you can use. Now, as always, I've gone ahead and left a free resource below to really help you visualize these guarantees using real examples. Now, the first guarantee is the money back guarantee. And I'm sure you've heard of it because it's the most commonly used guarantee. I mean, it's not rocket science as the name suggests. This guarantee involves paying back the money your clients paid if you do not achieve the promised result. So an example of this would be, let's say you run a lead generation agency and you promise 20 leads for $1,000. If you don't get those 20 leads, you refund the full $1,000. Now, there is no doubt that this guarantee works, but it's also risky because you need to be sure that you can get the full result. Now, full transparency here. Despite many of our students inside of Agency Accelerator using this guarantee and getting incredible results, this wouldn't be a guarantee that I would personally recommend, especially to beginners. I mean, listen, despite the risk, there's an element that I personally don't agree with. It doesn't sit right with me. Let's use the lead generation example I previously mentioned. Let's say you're nearing the end of the month and you are sitting on 18 out of 20 promised leads. You really hope to get those 2 remaining leads to fulfill on your promise, and secure your $1,000 retainer for the month. Your client, on the other hand, they might see this thing as a positive, because if they get 18 or even 19 leads by the end of the month, well, then they get their $1,000 back, but they get all of those leads for free. And at the end of the day, it's you who's incentivizing them to make as much as possible, so you don't get to fulfill your promise. They get a good chunk of work and they don't pay you. So this guarantee is great for getting deals over the line, but it can really negatively impact your relationship with the client long term. The next guarantee, which I call GMD, which basically means guarantee minus difference, or I also sometimes call it paid trial, well, it solves this problem, because the guarantee minus difference, in a sense, allows you to put a cost on every lead you bring a client. Now, let me explain using the same lead generation example. If you promise 20 leads for $1,000, well, then each lead is worth $50. Now, this guarantee states that you will refund the client on every lead you fall short. So if you were to end the month on 18 leads, you have fallen short by 2 leads, and each lead has a value of $50. So instead of refunding the full $1,000 like you would have with the money back guarantee, you're only refunding the 2 leads that you fell short on. In this case, $100. Remember, you don't get extra money per lead above the promised 20. This means that the client is going to want you to hit the promised 20 and more every month. So this guarantee protects you and the client, and it protects the relationship that you actually have with your clients. It is the perfect guarantee for beginners because there's minimal risk for all parties. Now let's talk about the third guarantee I'm going to mention in today's video, and that is the work to result guarantee. Now this doesn't involve you paying any money back. You pay the client back with extra time. You need to understand that for most businesses, their main concern is getting the promised result. The timeline, as long as it isn't super excessive, you're not taking the piss, that matters much less to them. So the work to result guarantees the promised result regardless of the time it takes to get there. The way this guarantee would work in the lead gen example discussed is as follows. Every month you promise 20 leads, and let's say that your minimum contract with them is 3 months. That means that by the end of the contract, you have guaranteed 60 leads. So the work to result guarantee states that if you were to provide under 60 leads, you will continue to work for free until you hit the promised lead number of 60. Listen, most clients won't care if it takes you 100 days rather than 90 days to achieve the promised number. They just don't want to get screwed. They want to know that when you say something, you mean it. So if you deliver on the result that you promised without taking more money, even if it takes some extra days, the client is still protected. Now, the final guarantee I want to talk about in today's video is kind of more a variation in the payment structure rather than a guarantee itself. That being said, it still does what a guarantee needs to do, which is transfer risk from the client to you. And this is by offering a pay per appointment structure, or pretty much any performance only deal where they only pay when they see results. So again, the client is protected here. And this is generally a very easy sale as well. So before the client signs on, they're going to view this as a no-brainer because they have nothing to lose. Now, as great as this sounds, once again, I have to warn you here, it is very easy to run into cash flow issues because you only get paid on results. So this means that your internal structures need to be top-notch when offering services using this model. For many, many years at my agency, this was the model that we worked off of, which is hardcore performance deals. Now, I will say we would always charge clients a small retainer because for me, it was just, I didn't want any tire kickers. Like if you offer just performance only, yeah, of course you're going to get people lining up. But for me, I wanted clients that could still throw down $2,000, $2,500, $3,500. And then the main majority of our money came from performance. But as mentioned, this is a lot more risky than just making all the money from the retainer. So please bear this in mind when you're working off performance only. So let's say you're doing lead generation, usually that'll be, pay per appointment or pay per show up. If you're doing ads, then obviously that'll usually be a percentage of revenue, or more specifically, return on ad spend. So revenue minus ad spend. And usually the way that you figure out that percentage, you also have to factor in their margin. Because obviously if you're spending $1 and producing $2, but they only have 50% gross margins, well then they spend $1 on advertising, $1 on the product. They've spent $2 to make $2 back. So these are all things that you have to factor in. And that's why if you look back, and I have years and years, I have half a decade of me running an agency recorded on YouTube. If you go back and you watch my videos, you'll see, and I've mentioned this many times, I would have a notebook and a pen, and I would just be writing these things down. I'd be writing down their gross margins. I'd be trying to understand their business and really just trying to get a clear perspective outside of advertising. How does their business function? Because really when you're doing a performance model, you have all the risk as an agency. So you really need to understand their business. So I would definitely wouldn't recommend that model to beginners, but if you know what you're doing, it's very, very fruitful, and it also makes the sale very, very easy. So as I said, I've mentioned 4 of many, many more guarantee models that I teach inside the program. Now, it's great to know your options when it comes to guarantees, but which one actually suits you? Really, this is all about understanding what level you are. As I mentioned, when you're a beginner, in my opinion, the best guarantee is the guarantee minus difference, because this is a low risk guarantee that simply works, but also allows you to learn. Now, if you're more advanced, you're gonna have a clearer idea of the results you can promise, which means you can take more risk. And higher risk guarantees make for bolder offers. A guarantee like money back or pay per result structure, this is gonna help you close way more deals. In fact, it's gonna make closing deals almost effortless. So now you know the best guarantees for your agency and which one suits you the most. Go ahead, implement them in your business and make your life a hell of a lot easier when signing clients. This way, you're not only gonna sign more clients, but you're also just gonna have a better relationship with them. And these things, with some time and some reputation, will make you go from one more agency, just another agency, to a reliable, well-known, and trustworthy agency in the space. Now, the ball is in your court, and what separates you from this goal is just a bit of work. So let's get to it. And as always, I'm watching from afar, and I'm rooting for you.